There we go. All right. I think we got it this time. Can you see it on the channel? It's only been 26 seconds though.
No, I don't see it under your
All right.
live.
This one says we're live and it's counting. So maybe it just hasn't uploaded yet, but that might be a good thing. Gives us a second to figure this stuff out. This was the
Well, I'm
part I was
sure though
worried.
once it starts though, it probably will start from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm sure
But
it will. This was the part I was worried about. I am not computer savvy, but we don't want to share a link on there anyway because we don't want them up as far as, uh, you know,
coming in,
and I can
yeah.
see, coming in the cam. I just want them in the chat, but um, so I'll take mine. Go on to mine. YouTube. Boom. Boom. It's under videos. No, it's not under videos. It's
Could
under
be under
live.
the live.
Yeah, under the live thing.
Yeah, it's not up there.
Live. Okay, I've got
Okay,
three.
now it's showing.
No views. Okay, so it'll be that one.
It's showing now.
Okay, now it's showing. Is it showing now? All right. So, uh-oh, somebody's echoing. Yeah, we got one viewer.
That was
Probably
me.
me.
That was me.
All right,
That
so
was
I'm
me.
trying to get there. Trying to get there. There we go. Aha! See, now I got it turned down so I can see the chat on this phone whenever we get some chat. So I think we got it. All right. So, there we go. There we go. But I did tell her, we got two people watching now. KRD welcomes everyone. Welcome, y'all. Welcome to
So we're
the
watching
show.
ourselves. Those are the two people.
Yep. Welcome to the show. It's all right. We'll get it figured out. It's all going to be
Yeah.
fun. I'm looking forward to this. It's been coming down the pike for a while. You and I have been talking about it. So it's here, and we can't do nothing but improve.
Right.
Uh-oh, we got
Well,
two viewers now.
it's the name of the game, learning.
That's it. That's it. That's the whole process, learning how to do this. That's why I think down the road, if we, get some traction with this thing, having a computer guy in the background probably wouldn't hurt us any at all.
No.
But I figure we'll wait until we get some people in here and then maybe lay out our game plan as far as what we plan to do with our live. Let everybody know where
Absolutely.
we're at, what we're doing. Did you have a good day?
Yeah, it was a good
Hey,
day.
what's up, Paul?
We're busy.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, Paul, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are busy at work, so it's
Okay,
been a
cool.
fulfilling week so far. So I'm very, very excited that tomorrow is Friday.
What kind of show is this? It's working. What's up, Bruce? We were just talking
Speaking
about
of our
somebody that's coming in.
producer,
Yeah, right. Speaking of a potential producer, we could have used you about 10 minutes ago, man. I'm trying to figure this thing out. So that's why if you look, there's three of those things up there because my stupid self didn't know how to make it work, but we're gonna figure it out. All right, let's go. Thank you, brother. Good here, working on the porch a little. June, pool a little later. All right, ain't nothing wrong with
that's
hanging out at the
awesome.
pool. Ain't nothing. And working with the kids is always fun. And that's guys. That's what this show. I know it's a little early, but we got people in here and we can go over it again. But that's what this is. Jason and I have been talking about doing this for what, Jason? 3 or 4 months now. We've been kicking this
Yeah,
idea around,
it's been a good 4 months.
right? And between me selling my shop and then going on vacation and Jason's work schedule as well. But the long and short of this live is we're going to try to use the podcast forum, but it's not a podcast. It's definitely a live, but we're going to try to bring some viewers in or some guests in rather, and hopefully some viewers, but bring some guests in, have them talk about the hobby. whether it be the history of the hobby, um, some technique that they learned. We'll talk about it more at the end of the show, but we have our official first guest that'll be here next Thursday. For the time being, we will be Thursday nights at 8 p.m. We do know that everybody has lives, so there's a chance that we might not be able to do, every Thursday. But if we know we got something going on, we'll let you know the Thursday before. Again, this is going to be all about the hobby. It's not a hangout, guys. We've got those, and those are great. And we've got some good guys that host those. And if you want to go to a hangout, this is not going to be where it's at. This is I don't want to use the word tech talk, but it is. It's going to be a lot of talk about the hobby, a lot of talk about
Similar.
techniques, similar to tech talk. We will
Yep.
be bringing in some one-to-one stuff because many of you know that myself and Jason are both in the one-to-one field. Jason's in race cars and I'm in off-road. So we can translate that over to the one-to-one hobby. Um, and I think that's kind of what we're all trying to do anyway, is make copies, or maybe not replicas, but copies of the one-to-one stuff. That's the whole idea behind the scale model car.
Correct. Yep.
So the more you can learn about, I think with the more you can learn about one-to-one stuff, and you can apply it to your model car. And again, we hope to have some good guests on. We have planted some seeds with a lot of different people, and as we go along, we'll get into that. Jason, you got something you want to talk about the format and what we're doing, where we're
Um,
going?
yeah, so basically what we want to do then with our guests, right? So we're going to have active guests that will either be on here building or showcasing some of their builds or some of their inspiration. It's not going to be like Meet the Modeler. I think Josh Risem's got a great program going already. So we're not trying to duplicate or anything with Josh's thing. My thing is drawn from my inspiration to even create the channel in the first place. And that came from these group builds, just sitting at lunch, watching YouTube, running across some of these videos. And I've said this before on my channel, it was always the USAC builds that were popping up that particular year. So that's what lured me into doing more investigation on what's really going on with the model car industry. So I would love to have, there's so many group builds out there now, and there's so many new channels that are popping up every day, it seems like. And there's a lot of really great gentlemen that, well, I shouldn't say just gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen out there that are, 150 subs, guys that are trying to get going. And they're participating in these group builds. So it'd be great to bring people on, showcase what they're working on as far as the group build, and you kind of get some live time of what the group builds of certain channels are at what stages. And to me, that brings excitement to help motivate other people that may be having problems and they're kind of mad at their build right now, and to bring somebody else on there, and then they can see, hey, that guy's in a group build too, and he kind of used this method to power through a problem or whatever like that. So it kind of brings some lifetime to all these group builds. It's very hard to start a channel. It's very hard to start a live and then say, hey, we want to create a group build. I think there's plenty of group builds on the market right now that you can't just keep flooding it. So I figure if we take this live here as a active chat live, showcase somebody every week, let them show us where they're at and describe, what their vision is with their group build. I think it's just awesome. So it's sort of a Q&A, but it's also live time to where me and Mike might be at times working on stuff as well. Being tonight's an intro, we're just kind of letting everybody know what our thought and our vision is with this channel, and go from there.
Agreed. I think I kept using the word podcast, and this is not a podcast. It's not the correct place for a podcast. Most podcasts are pre-recorded, edited, blah blah blah. This is live, but I didn't want to do. We didn't want to do a podcast because we lose touch with the one-to-one with people live, on the chats. And I feel like if we felt like this is the way to go, we're going to pay attention to the chat, try to answer your questions as best we can. So the format
Yes,
will be the opportunity to be able to talk about what we're doing and deal with the chat and get some answers from you guys, get some input from you guys. If we have a guest on, or if Jason or myself is doing something that you're interested in, and you missed a part or you got a question about something that we're doing, we can stop what we're doing, answer your question, and maybe go into more detail or a step or something to help you with a process that maybe you're just learning. And the same way for us, when we have a guest in that's teaching us something and bringing something new to us, we can really dig into it and get to the meat and taters of it, so we know exactly what we're doing and at least have a solid foundation to be able to work off from that. Um,
correct.
yeah.
To me, and I think me and Mike really agree on a lot of things. I mean, especially with business stuff, the one-to-one, but then same with the models. We look upon all of our peers for more inspiration. I'm very competitive, and so not saying I'm trying to beat everybody in building models, but that competitive spirit is what drives me to keep doing more research, to learn different techniques, to up my game, to create the next better model versus the last one. So there are so many great channels. I can't even begin to list the channels that I watch. There's so many great channels, and I've learned a lot from all of them. But there are a few that I really, really follow a lot, and in the modeling world, because I think it's probably, I would say, more to the flavor of builds that I prefer. You know,
Mhm.
so, and I think Mike would probably agree with that too. He's probably got a few channels that he probably favors that are
Absolutely,
not on my
absolutely.
list.
Absolutely, we try to support everybody in the community, and as we all know, uh, you sub to a lot of different people. It's hard to watch everybody's channel, but I'd be lying if I didn't say there were certain guys who I focus on and pay a lot of attention to because of their content, how they present it, and I feel like that's also something down the road that we can bring to this channel. Is maybe somebody that is really YouTube savvy and can come in and maybe even talk a little bit about how a person who does have 150 subs could maybe do something to help boost his channel. Now, it's not necessarily how to do something on a model, but it is model related. If you're in the YouTube world and you're doing model content, that would be
Yep.
a great format for them. Uh, Bruce, thank you so much for responding to the chat. It's super difficult for me, especially. I gotta like focus on what I'm doing. So everybody in the chat, welcome. We're glad to have you. Today's kind of a recap as to where we are so far. Basically, we're talking about what Jason and I plan to do with this channel. We're laying down the basically the foundation, letting you know what you can expect. Whether it be guest, it's definitely going to be all model talk to make the circle. It's not a hangout. We're not going to tolerate a bunch of stuff. That's not what we want. We want a model related forum. We love questions about models. We love questions about if there's a guest on, or if you have a question about for myself or Jason, we'll be happy to answer you the best we can. Um,
Yep.
we're definitely full on model related. It's not an adult channel, although we'll probably slip a cuss here and there, but we're not talking about the crazy stuff. We're talking about
Yep.
what the models, the hobby, and by that we it wouldn't be a stretch to think that we would have tank guys, airplane guys in here, and even one-to-one guys. We touched on that earlier. The tank and airplane guys, those guys are, if you've ever paid attention, I've learned stuff from them. The perfect example would be a dash on an airplane. It's so detailed. You can watch a guy that does that on an airplane or a tank or whatever, and you can translate that over to your dash on your race car or on your street car. A lot of great techniques. We would like this to be a hodgepodge or a mixed spice location for all different kinds of stuff to where everybody can learn something. And before we go any farther, let me apologize to you about my voice. I've picked up some sort of a bug the day before I decide that, or we decide that we're going to do this. The bug sits into my voice, so I apologize for that, guys. But thank you. Hey, Fred, what's up, buddy? Glad to hear you here. Glad to see you.
Hey, Fred.
But that's definitely the direction that we're headed. And this isn't going to be one of those 4 hour long things either. We don't have a time limit. We're going to try to keep it around the 1 hour mark. If we have a guest on that's,
Probably
going
be
into
two.
detail, yeah, going into detail about what he's going, we're not going to cut him off. And if we're having a good back and forth with the chat, we're definitely not going to cut it off at an hour. But you can look for this not to be a 4 5 hour long type of deal.
Yep.
Got to get to the point. What was it that Vanilla Ice said? To the point, no faking. Right? No, I'm not a
Yeah.
singer or a rapper.
And and the thing that I'd like to provide too is just more information. I get a lot of questions from people on details of one-to-ones. If they're building drag cars, I'm getting those questions in my email box. So this way here, I think, having a live, it's easier to talk than it is to type or text.
Sure.
And I can provide those details, through showing you some of the builds. Um, but I'd also like to bring in some one-to-one guys as guests here and there, intertwine some one-to-one guys. Most of the one-to-one guys, I'll tell you this flat out, whether they're fabricators, famous, whatnot, they have started as kids with model cars. Every one of us has started with model cars. So the growth transitions through that phase of life. And some of them guys have spoke to me and said, "Man, I wish I had the time to get back into that. I'm kind of jealous, Klein, that you're building models again." So it'd be great, I think, if we kind of incorporate them, let them speak to the modeling community. You can learn some tips, tricks that they're doing as fabrication goes on real cars, and have that translate down, because we're all searching for information, like Mike said earlier, to make our builds better, more detailed, more realistic. So I think Mike could also bring that as well with his Jeep World stuff. Bring some of those 4x4 guys into the
Um,
mix.
a lot of it is going to be terminology too. Not everybody, works on cars every day. So I think Jason, you and I were talking about a Heim. Maybe not everybody knows what a Heim is called. It's the ball thingy.
Yeah.
You go if you're looking for something because you've decided to make a four link for your custom four link for, a race car or even an off road vehicle. And you're looking on the internet, you can't look up ball thingy. You got to know what it's called. So maybe if we can help with terminology, and it's cheaper for me to build a 125.
Yeah, I
It
agree,
is
Fred.
that's why I have a. You can experiment on them, and if you screw up, then it's a lot cheaper to unscrew it, if you will. But so, like I said, terminology and getting an idea of what's what, how it works, and again, we're trying to replicate as close as we can. This detail stuff is detail stuff, and then some of it, you may not want to get. There's a lot of guys that go through that phase and where they're wiring everything and running fuel lines, and then because especially if you're being judged, I think most judges will tell you from the limited experience I've had, most judges will tell you if you're going to wire it, if you're going to get your toe wet, you got to get all in, right? Can't just wire it and
Yep.
leave it. You got to do everything, and that doesn't mean that we're here to tell you how to build a model that can go on a show table. We're just here to try to help you guys out and bring some new stuff to the table, show you what we got going on, show you what our guests got going on, and just that positive environment to be able to do the hobby. Well, I feel
Yep.
like
And
we've
then,
laid out our plan a little. I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. But I was just gonna say. So speaking of inspiration, there's another one that's right there. Is Paul for me?
Yeah.
Being that he's in the one-to-one and the models, I correlate a lot with that too. So, Paul has been just a great inspiration for me and my channel. He's always commented on my videos. I would say that probably the number one commenter on my videos is old Tom. I mean, that
Yeah.
guy is
Yeah.
awesome. Guy is awesome. But those guys like that, when they're constantly commenting, I mean, that really helps boost you up when you've got,
Sure.
15, 16 subscribers to your channel,
Right.
So, and when you start watching their stuff, it inspires you to go further.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
gotta love it.
And then you get lucky enough. I was lucky enough to meet haven't met you personally in person yet, Jason, but I feel like we're brothers.
Yep.
And but I've had
Agree.
been blessed to be able to meet a lot. Everybody that I've met personally, Fred, Brian, Jeff Elliott, Sarge, Jason Hanscom. I've been so with Tom. I've been so blessed to meet those guys, and everybody's such great help. And I want that when I'm having that one-on-one with them, that exchange of
Yep.
ideas, that exchange. I want that to come here to where we're just some guys
Exactly.
hanging out, talking models, and tips and whatever. To give you a perfect example, old Tom, I was at Pam's Con earlier this year, and I had some stuff on the table, and I walked over to old Tom. I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm looking for some helpful criticism. What can I do better?" And
Yep.
I knew in my heart where I was compared to everybody else's, but I wanted to get his opinion. First thing off his mouth was paint. You got to work on your paint a little more,
Yeah.
and I got some tips with him, and I've applied that, and I feel like I'm growing in that area, and that's what I'd
Yep.
like to bring to everybody that listens or gets involved and hangs out with us.
I agree. And then, to reiterate with that, I want to meet all those guys that you mentioned as well. I mean, that's from the lives and stuff like that. Your Freds, your Brians. Definitely want to meet Jeff in person because Jeff's a great dude. There's just lots of them. Bob Busking, another one. I mean, I look
Right,
up to
right,
Bob.
right,
Of course, Jason Hanscom. I mean, you and I, this is the connection too with me and you, is Jason Hanscom's channel is the one that set me over the top, inspired the hell out of me to create this channel in the first place. I never in a million years was thinking of creating a channel, let alone did I need another hobby like this. And this is very in depth. So, Jason did that for me, and same, I believe, with you. So Jason's channel was the one. I mean, and when they were doing the USAC Roadrunner, I was stuck to those things like glue. Every update, Tim's update, all of them. Well, I'm a
right,
Mopar guy, so
right.
I was stuck to them USAC things like glue. And Jason's channel it was like a magnetic gravity. It pulled me right in. So
I came in, and I actually, when I had that interview with Matt Lucasy, I brought it up, just touched on it a little bit. At that time, when the USAC build for the truck last year's was
yeah,
coming out, I was still lurking. I had just started my channel and was lurking on the lives and just kind of getting a feel for everything. It was all brand new to me, and I missed out on it, and I missed out on the Acme. That will not happen again this year. That is very cool group build. I
yeah,
mean, all the group builds are great. The 48-hour
yeah,
group build that we participated in, I got to meet so many people just on these lives like this, and
yep.
it was super exciting. It was a lot of work, but as far as staying awake, having your life and building your model in 48 hours, but I wouldn't trade it for
See,
nothing, man. I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
I would have took naps. I wouldn't have stayed up.
I couldn't. She kept me busy during the day. We had stuff that we had to do, and then at night I'd sit down here and again myself and Mark stayed up or Matt stayed up all Saturday night, and then he was going to bed Sunday morning. But I knew if I laid down, I wasn't going to make it, and my model wasn't done. So I just kept on plugging. And trust me though, the longer I was awake, the slower I was moving.
Yeah. No, I mean I gave it the best effort on Friday, and it was great to be in that live with Paul and them guys. So that was cool. Get to actually talk with Paul. And then yourself was in there. So and then Jimmy, right? From Kit
Yeah,
Bash
Jimmy, what a cool
Customs.
dude.
Yeah. What an awesome gentleman. So that was a lot of fun. I really wish that the Street Machine Nationals didn't fall upon that because I'm really disappointed that I failed the 48-hour group build this year because I did it the first year. Um, and it was me and the kid too, so he was kind of bummed too, but you know,
It
just
happens.
too
We
many
got lives.
things going on. Yeah.
Yeah, we got lives like we talked about at the beginning of this show. It's our intent to do it. We're going to try to be as consistent as we possibly can. Thursday nights, 8 o'clock. If this thing gets some traction and people really start enjoying it, I know that 8 o'clock on the East Coast is 5 o'clock on the West Coast, and we might change it to a weekend down the road. Uh, but right
Hey,
now,
Mark
we're just
Jones.
gonna. Hey, Mark. Yep. Hey, everybody. Again, we're not ignoring you in the chat. Just trying to keep
We're
up with everything.
we're still learning, my friends. We're still
Yep.
learning.
We'll get it figured out. But we might down the road end up changing the day. But for now we're going to be as consistent as we can at 8 o'clock on Thursdays, and just try to get that laid down, get the foundation poured, and start building from there. But with all that being said, we would like to, if you guys don't mind, we would like to maybe I'm going to do a little interview with Jason. Jason do a little interview with me. Let you guys know kind of just for the new guys. I know I see a lot of faces in here, a lot of names that I recognize, but if you guys
Yeah.
don't know, then we'll kind of introduce ourselves, if you will, and let you get to know us a little bit. So let me start with Jason. Jason, when did you start building models?
I was 6 years old when I got my first snap kit. Actually, I think 3 snap kits for my first builds.
Do you remember what 3 they were?
I can tell you the first one was that little pastel blue 55 Chevy.
Okay, I remember that
Yeah,
kit back in the day. Back in the day.
yeah. And I think there was a little funny car or something like that. Um, they were pretty simple kits, but I was just ecstatic just to have a kit, to be honest with you, because my dad was an avid model builder. My dad was part of a car club. They were one of the founders, and he would build models, and they would do their own personal model shows within their car club.
Okay.
So it was cool for me as a kid. You wanted to do whatever your dad did. So I would sit at the kitchen table. It was the days where my dad would put paper, the newspaper on the table. You don't get glue on mom's table, she'll
Right.
kill you. And then he'd do the same thing for me, even though I didn't have glue, I didn't have paint or nothing. But it was just like, yeah, I'm doing what dad's doing. This is cool. And
Amen.
then my grandfather was another one that was avid in building models. But my grandfather had kits that were metal that you had to screw them together.
Wow.
The die cast style models. So those were cool too. But that was my first kits were the snap togethers.
And then obviously you graduated on up into glue kits, glue bombs. Did you do like the rest of us and get your first glue bomb and use a whole bottle of Tester's paint,
Oh yeah,
5 paintbrushes, and a tube of glue?
oh, it was a while before he let me have paint, but the whole tube. My first glue was the whole orange tube, and I still needed more glue to glue the wheels on. I went to him. I said, "Hey, I need more glue," and he said, "What do you mean? What do you mean you need more glue?" I'm like, "There's not enough glue in that tube." He goes, "There's enough glue in that tube for 5 of them." So yeah, and the windows were caked. Everything was caked. She was a brick. She was a
Right?
brick.
In 4 coats of enamel paint that took 6 years to dry. Yep. Yep.
That
Yep.
probably, I would have to say, I probably did good 6 to 10 models where there was no paint,
Oh,
just
really?
just glue. Yeah,
Screwed
he
in.
was very strict about me painting. I broke into his cabinet once downstairs, and when I was little, and opened a can of paint, and then pushed the thing and spray painted my eyes. As a kid, so that was enough spray painting.
Yeah. When you paint your eyes shut,
Yeah,
that'll cure you from that.
yeah.
Uh, I see Fred said that I was able. I did. Fred told me one time in one of the lives what his
Hey,
first kit
Dart.
was. So I was lucky enough to be able to send him that bantam and put a smile on his face. And that's another thing about this community that we want to share more and get out. People doing that sort of stuff. People, hey, I've
Yeah,
got something I'm not going to build, and it means something to you. Let me, either trade or whatever. So this community I've been blessed. I've been back in it hard for about a year, and maybe a year before that, I was just kind of dinking around. But uh, in the last
hey
year,
Norm.
everything's been so cool. People have been so nice, and we definitely, it's just like I said, just awesome how people do that, how they help each other
Yeah,
out, and to get those people in here is part of what we're wanting to do. But
yeah,
back to
for
your
sure.
little interview, so. Back to what you were saying earlier. Now, those of you that don't know, Jason's big time into race cars. So, would you say that your model building helped you to to move into the one to
Oh,
one? Was it a part of that, or
100%. I mean, my family's always been in the, so my grandfather and my uncle Vic, my older uncle, my dad's oldest brother, were oval track guys. So I have a background in dirt oval as well. But my dad was the one that broke away from that and went to the drag racing stuff. So as a kid, I was very, very torn. You know, I wanted to do oval track stuff, but then I wanted to do the straight line stuff as well. So it definitely was the motivation. That's where I'd go to all the car shows. I would then try to incorporate things that I seen on people's real cars into my models. And that's when my dad realized that, oh, yeah, this kid definitely wants to work on cars. And I think it was probably, I'd have to say, 10 years old. He was teaching me what tools were, what all the sizes were and how to use them, righty tighty, lefty loosey, all that stuff like that. And then, of course, once you get into your teenage years and you start learning how to drive, and the bug starts coming out of you and it starts itching, and you gotta figure out how you're gonna scratch it. So
right? That is part of the reason. Some may or may not know that Jason Hanscom and myself did the short track Saturday night short track group build. Part of that was to maybe get people because people have been sitting at home a lot and not getting out and doing things, and to get back to those short tracks. If you're into it, they're so much fun. And
yeah,
that was kind of what we were trying to do is get people out there to the short tracks, roll the roundarounds, and maybe see or start following somebody that they like, and maybe build a replica of their car. Or we have several guys that raced back in the day in their little street stocks or hobby stocks or even modifieds or whatever, and they're building replicas of their cars, which is really cool when you can host something that gets somebody to think about something they did and build something that they used to have. So we're super proud of that as well. But
100%.
so in your one to one world, like you said, your models translated to your one to one stuff. Now, do you find that your one to one stuff is translating back to your models? You're seeing the real thing and how it works, and it makes you a better builder.
100%. 100%. My yellow duster, if you've watched my channel, I know some people have. The yellow duster is somewhat of a copycat on some of the chassis work that I incorporated in that I've learned off my one-to-one duster. My one-to-one duster is what they would consider a small tired drag car, but is still street legal, and it's still required to have the factory floor pans and factory frame rails in it. So when I did the duster, which was for the Blue Ox Model Shop Street Machine Group build last year, I decided that that's what I was going to do, was incorporate all of that technology that is in the one-to-one into the model, and it really turned out better than I thought it would, because for one, it was a first for me to sit with styrene and bend all the roll bars by hand. I think the next time I'm going to do it in brass.
A
A
little bit
little
easier to
less
bend.
fighting, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So
did you did you see that jig that I found online? Did you get one of those
I
little
got
big
that. Yep.
jigs? Yeah,
We
that
were
was
we
one
were
of
in the live we were in the live together that night, and you were showing it off. And as we were talking, I was on the computer ordering it on Amazon, so I
I
wouldn't forget.
early on I did a video on that when I first got it, and it was one of my more popular videos. Adams from Sodak even contacted me and was like, "Man, that thing's really cool." So, and
Yeah,
I don't even know how I stumbled upon it, to be honest with you. I don't know if if I'm being honest, if I saw somebody else using it or if it what was going on, but I saw it and I ordered it, and it's a great little tool, especially to help with roll cages and
yeah.
links and stuff. So that's
I
really
did
cool.
that
So
twice. I did that twice to you. And the one night you had the space sander, and
yeah,
I was
Sander.
on the computer ordering that.
That one,
So,
that's really cool. I know you said you didn't like the drill as much as I did, but and I
yeah,
ran
the
into the
Dremel,
situation. Yeah, ran into a situation where the collar, what do they call it, the
the
arbor
collet.
was
Yeah,
wasn't big enough, so I ended up. I actually ended up screwing up my Skyline because I tried to use my, again, trying to do new things. I was using my Dremel on slow speed to put some rubbing compound on there to, to bring it in it. I boogered it
Yep.
up, so now I got to sand it down and start over. But I didn't get into the paint. I just got into the clear coat. Where if that arbor had fit on that lower speed one that I got, I may not have done that.
Yeah.
But back to the deal. So it's funny how you can
We'll
say,
see you later, Fred. Thanks for popping in.
"All right, night, Fred. Thank you, sir." But it's funny how the models helped you to get into the one to one, and now the one to one is has come back to to help you build better models. It's pretty cool how that's laid out.
Actually, too, another thing. So I did do a video on this. I took the Dart 68 Dart model kit. So my 68 Dart that I'm building in the one-to-one shop, I have all the GTS badges to put on the fenders. And I couldn't get a hold of anybody to give me a measurement. So I thought, well, screw it. Let's go get the model. And we
Scale.
measured the model and then we scaled it up and I taped it off on the full size fender and I ended up doing a video on it. And before I drilled any holes, I had a friend of mine that has a real one. He called me and says, yeah, I'll get you some measurements. And the model was within an eighth of an inch
Wow, that's amazing.
to the
That's
big car
amazing. That's
on the
cool.
emblem placement of the fender, which was remarkably surprising. And there was even some gentlemen that commented on that video that had those darts as well, and they were out there measuring their fenders, and they're going, "Son of a bitch, that's correct! Wow, that was cool," you know.
That's
So,
super cool. So tell us about some of the shows you've been to and maybe some of the hardware you've brought home. Maybe you got a kit
so
you can show us?
I don't have anything right now. I definitely will in the future.
Okay.
The first show that I went to since getting back into modeling was NNL North. What a learning experience that was. I found a couple of clubs that are up here because there was all the Minnesota clubs were there. I didn't know where they were located, who was who, or any of that. So that was great to get to know some of them guys. I've got invites now to go and join the Minnesota model clubs. I'm definitely going to do that. I want to stay in contact with these folks. But I learned that no matter what you do, you still have to present well. And the things that Don Yost would say in his videos when that guy was still alive, rest his soul, um, is all about that presentation, the paint work, the cleanliness of the model. That stuff means the most because that's what draws in the judges or the magazines. My USAC truck, I no sooner put the thing down on the turntable and then went to the next table to put the street machine down. And my wife was coming over saying, "Hey, some guy put a piece of paper by your truck. Is it in the wrong section?" And I'm like, "I don't know. This is the first time coming to a big show."
Right.
So I went over there, and here it was the magazine wanting to take pictures of the truck. So that was an
Right.
honor to me. I won right there. That was
Right.
it for me. So
That's a conversation you and I have had before, and I think I even said it on the interview with Matt. But me personally, to rewind a little bit, my first big show I ever went to was JaxCon in Jacksonville at the beginning of this year. And I was slightly intimidated, so I didn't bring anything up there. And after having met uh, Fred and Brian and old Tom and oh, the list
hey,
goes on and
Billy.
on. Hey, Billy. And the list goes on of the great guys I met. The first question they asked is, "What'd you bring?" They wanted to see what I brought. And I was like, I didn't, I kind of him hawing around. Worst mistake I could have ever made. I should have brought something up there and let them look at it. And if nothing else, they could help me get better. But
Yep.
told you that story to tell you that I would personally would rather go to a show, set something down, and have one of my peers, a Jason or Jason or a Jason or a Fred or Brian, old Tom or the list goes on of all these builders whom I admire. I would much
Yep.
rather them say, "Hey, you did a good job with this," or "Hey, how did you do that? I've never seen that before." That to me would be worth more than gold or maybe People's Choice because
100%.
that tells me that the people like it. But I mean, to me, the camaraderie, the back and forth is more valuable than
Absolutely.
any piece of tin
Ab-
that you're going to get from them.
that's the thing that I think in my age now. I've got, lots of plaques and trophies from, car show stuff, racing stuff, whether it's full size or RC. And you got nowhere to put all that stuff, and they collect dust. So wall plaques are what I like the best because you can hang them on the walls. Trophies take up tons of shelf space, and they're just a pain in the butt when it comes down to it. But I
Absolutely.
agree with you. It's the camaraderie. It's
Right.
learning from each other. You get onto a topic like when I met some of the guys that were local, um, they were like telling me what they were doing, what paints they were using, procedures, and then I would tell them what I did, and they go, and they kind of sparked one of the gentlemen to go, you know what, I might try that order once, and I might try that mixture, and
Sure.
the one guy was scared to try 2K automotive clear on his paint. I'm like, oh no, shoot it.
Sure.
It works really good. But then I also got to meet a really good builder that I idolized in some of the stuff that goes around Facebook, and he's out of the Detroit area or whatever, Illinois, and that's Tim Casper.
I'm not
I
familiar with
don't know.
him.
Oh, you would love him, Mike. He built that red, white, and blue tube chassis Javelin
Oh,
with the
okay.
star
Okay.
on the door. The
Yeah, I
car
think
is
that you
just
took a picture of that.
amazing.
You took a
Yeah,
picture of it at that show. Yeah, yeah. And
yeah, and
just to hang on, just to let everybody know that's coming in. No, this show isn't going to be all about me and Jason talking back and forth about the different medals and stuff that we won. We're just trying to give you an opportunity to get to know us a little bit. Just again, kind of recap. We're starting the new program where we intend to bring modelers in and do different demonstrations, talk to different builders and whatnot. So don't think that we're just here to talk about ourselves. Although we are our favorite subject. Don't get me wrong. Next
yeah,
to models, we like talking about ourselves, but
we
just
don't
want to
get
let you
enough
guys.
attention from our wives, so we got to
Right,
come out
exactly,
here.
exactly. So we just want to let you guys know that like I said, we're going to basically doing an introduction, and we got some news at the end of this video, which we're 42 minutes into it now. We'll probably cut it off around an hour, and but before we get there, we'll give you some news about the our very first guest that will be here next Thursday at 8 p.m. And again, to uh, to
Hey,
recap,
Metal
what's
Mania, thank
up,
you
Metal
very
Mania?
much, brother. Appreciate that a lot, brother.
But we will be doing this every Thursday night at 8 o'clock. So just keep that in mind,
So,
guys. Go
since
ahead.
we're getting close to the hour, let's flip this around and let's start with you. What was your first age of building model cars?
I got started. The best I can remember is around 78 or 79. I was 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, in that ballpark somewhere. I remember that my brother was doing it, and basically that's how I got started. And I've told that story several times, but with him doing it, he was my big brother. He's 7 years older than me, so he had all this cool stuff, and then I wanted to get involved. The very first model kit that I remember building is that monogram white '69 Camaro,
Oh,
and
yep.
and it was so incorrect and didn't fit together, but I didn't care. Right, that was my tube of glue, my one bottle of paint that I just smothered all over everything, and the whole tube of glue went on it. And I remember that kit. In fact, when I got back into the hobby, compliments of eBay, but I went in there and I found that original kit and I bought one. And of course, that's my luck. The week after I bought it, Ollie's repopped it and it was on the shelf at Ollie's. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's how I got started. It was back as a kid. Now, moving forward, mid '90s, I had about 16 or 17 NASCAR kits. I'm a roundy round guy. I love roundy round cars. And NASCAR, that was back when NASCAR was still cool, in my opinion. It's not anymore, but that's just
Yep.
my opinion. Not looking
I
for
agree.
arguments, just my opinion.
Yep.
But so I had these 16 kits, and I finally, I had the young man and out doing young man stuff and getting into the real world, discovering girls and cars, the real cars, and uh, all that stuff. So I got out of it for forever from 90, I'll say 94, 95 till about 2 years ago. And came back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
That's why you see all the empty boxes behind me.
Yeah, empty boxes. So then let me ask you, so have you seen any of the model building translate into your one-to-one build when you had
Ab-
your Jeep
Absolutely.
stuff?
Yeah, it's very similar to what you were saying as far as because mind you, when I got back when I started building Jeeps for real, I mean I was helping my dad out, but when I started building Jeeps for real, I was still out of the hobby. But I wouldn't be as familiar with what again back to the vocabulary, I wouldn't be familiar with what was going on had it not been early on with the models. You know, the alternator goes here, this is what the alternator does. And that gave me a foundation to build off of. Um,
Okay.
and then getting into the Jeeps was I've always been a Jeep guy and I've always been interested in suspension and steering. That's where I focus my stuff. And discovered triangulated four links and then, from math and a lot of mine was applied skills, meaning I would try something and then build something and then take it out and try it. Well, that didn't work. Tear it apart and then try it again. Now,
Start over.
I certainly didn't design or create the triangulated four link, but I did build several of my own that are very unique to mine. It's basically my numbers as far as how long the links are, what we use for pieces and parts to build them, and how that translates back to the hobby is now that I'm back in the hobby, I'm building. Well, right now I'm building the senior tribute, and I'm using what essentially is a scaled down version of the my triangulated four link, and I want to do it the first time on that one, and then later on in the year, I'm going to build a Jeep, and off a 1/16 Jeep, and I'm going to use that same thought process to build a triangulated four link for it. And being a 1/16th, it'll really be able to get into some detail with it.
That's good. Yeah. So
Mhm.
my next question then for you would be, what kit have you personally built now that has translated from some knowledge that you've learned from your one-to-one builds?
That would be the biggest
The
one would
senior
be
build?
the senior build. Yeah, that's the one I did
Okay.
that triangulated four link on. Um, Still way behind on it. I got to get it done, but just like everybody else, it can involve in all these different group builds, and something's got to go underneath. So there's
Yeah.
got a couple of them down there. But yeah, with the strongest one, I mean, all of them apply. Everything applies because you're able to know what fits, what doesn't fit, especially if you're doing any customizing work, and you know what's going to work, what's not going to work. If you're putting a motor in a car and the transmission is going to have the shifter come up in the back seat. You got to figure out something to make that work, right? You know, move the
Yeah.
floor motor around or whatnot. My Pacer build is probably a good example of that. There was no
Hey,
way I
Sluggo.
could hack the chassis that came with that came with that Pacer. There's no way I could hack that up and make it work, and that'll lead us into the 3D stuff, which we'll be having that on the show as well. Oh,
Yep.
excuse me.
So
I
what do
got
you
it. I
what do
got
you
the Iceman chassis.
so what do you think as far as your knowledge of, all the years? I would imagine you were like me, where you got out of the modeling for a while. You then were focused on your one-to-one scale stuff. That's what I mean. You had to be pretty deep in the hobby of one-to-one in order to say, "Hey, I'm going to open up a shop," right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the same with me. I was so deep in the hobby that I opened up my shop. But so, like your Hudson build, I really, really love your Hudson build.
thank you, thank you.
Did you see any translation from what the Jeeps were doing for you on one-to-one to when you were building your Hudson? Because I mean,
The,
that's total opposite, right? You're lowering it to the ground, you're tubbing the heck out of it. I mean, you're pro streeting it versus your one-to-one was jacked up.
right, but as you know, it's like asking a guy that works on Toyotas, can he work on a Jeep? It's all nuts and bolts, and
Yeah,
it's the same way with the models. You just get a better idea, a working knowledge, if you will, of what should be there and what shouldn't be there. On that Hudson, for example, I created my own four link with it, but I had it stuffed up in there, so the axle was stuffed up in there so deep there was no way I could create upper control arms for it. So I just made the lower control arms to kind of hid everything. Um, a little tip I got from our friend Fred Henry is like,
mm-hmm.
just hide it, fake it till you make it. But um, So yes, the answer is yes. You get an overall knowledge of what should be there. A drive shaft's a drive shaft, right? A control arm's a control arm. An A arm's an A arm. You know what it's supposed to look like, and because you've worked on them on the 1-to-1. So that's where that would translate over whether it was Jeep or that Hudson. That Hudson has a bit of a story. I actually found the diecast wheels on a Mustang at a thrift shop for $3 they wanted for this whole Mustang. Some kid had it and busted it up, but the wheels and the tires were really fat and really cool. So I got
Yeah.
those, and then I ended up at JaxCon, and I was looking for what am I going to put these on, and I found that Hudson, and I'm like, and it just to me it just popped in my head. This is what it needs to be. Slammed to the ground with a aftermarket V10 motor in it, and slam that thing to the ground and make it as cool as I can. So that's kind of the storyline behind that. Same way with the Bug. The Bug was the same idea. I actually saw the wide body kit first, and I'm like, that really looks cool, and I got some ideas, and then that's how the Bug became.
Okay. So, like with the Bug, what was the inspiration other than those parts? I mean, obviously, you must have a thing for bugs as well, right? I mean, did you
I've
see
never
any
owned a
real
Bug.
bugs?
I got a friend that owns a bug shop here in town, and she builds cool bugs like that. Her and her team build cool bugs like that. And I've never owned a Bug. I've always liked them, thought they were cool, but I've
Yeah,
never owned one. So in lieu of uh, building a real one, I was able to build a scale one because I can't have every car that we'd ever want to
right.
have. Just financially, that doesn't work for me.
No.
So
Well,
I
look at
kind of
me. I'm
live
building a
vicariously
Porsche
through
right
scale
now.
stuff. Right? I just finished mine, and that one came out really cool. It's different,
Yeah,
definitely different with the pink decals, but I enjoyed that one.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. You
Well,
at least
we
you did a race car, you know.
well, you got that kit from Hobby Lobby, that Revell kit, right? The 911.
Yeah, yeah.
You said you
It's
really liked
actually
it, though.
a
It's pretty detailed.
really nice kit. Really, I man, I can't believe how nice that kit was. I'm really quite far on that thing. She's in primer right now. Most of the parts are painted. It's been a really refreshing build. I can say that. So, very
It's
cool.
Sluggo. I feel you, brother. You don't. Not everyone has to be a competition build. I'm a 100% on board with you there. You can if that's what you choose to do. I've got plans to build to me a 300 GL Mercedes that I'm specifically building it to show and see how I do with it. But I'm with you, man. You don't have to build them for show. If they fit on your shelf and
Yeah.
you like them, that's what it's all about. Um,
And
and
I
again, we're
will
just
say
trying to.
this. I will say this too to anybody that's watching is if you're going to do these group builds, make sure you build the car to your liking, period.
That's it.
Because at the end of the day, it's your time, it's your relaxation, and it's going to go on your shelf. So make sure you put your flair and it makes it fun for you. Um, like Sluggo was saying, build it for you. Don't worry about the competitions. That I think that's the thing that I probably like the most about the USAC one is that you're picking a kit and then you're seeing everybody's creative side with the same
Right.
kit,
Right.
you
Yep.
know.
Yep. Yep.
And nothing against the other group builds, but to me, you're getting everybody starting in the same box.
Right.
And like I made mine a drag truck. You know, a lot of people I think did the custom cruiser, you know, lowered them. But and what I think Matthew is what the only one that actually made a monster truck out of it, or was there another?
If
Was
there
there
was, I
another?
didn't see it. I thought maybe I saw one
Maybe
on
there
tracks.
might have there might have been another gentleman that made one on a monster truck too. God, I
Had I
cannot
gotten
remember his
involved,
channel.
had
Yeah.
I gotten involved with that build, like I said last year at this time, I was still relatively new, lurking behind the scenes. I probably would have gone 4-wheel drive as well.
Hey,
What's
Jason.
up, Jason?
There he is.
There
That's the
he
one
is.
that started all of
All
this.
this, you guys can either thank him or blame him, because if not for Jason, and which is perfect timing on your part, Jason, because we're about an hour into it, and we've talked about ourselves enough that our chat is probably getting tired of hearing it. So while you're here, we will go ahead and tip our hat to you a little bit. Myself and Jason met via your channel. You have been a huge mentor to myself, and I feel like you've
Yep,
been one to Jason as well. And we are
absolutely.
happy to announce that next week at 8 o'clock on Thursday, Jason Hanscom from the Blue Ox Model Shop will be our first guest here at the AMC show. And we are super
That's
proud to have him. We couldn't think of a better first guest. Somebody that's been there for both myself and Jason, and we look forward to having him on.
absolutely. Thank you very much, Jason.
And at that, I guess we can sign off. Again, guys, we look forward to you guys tuning in next week. It will not be about us next week, I promise you.
Yeah,
It's going to be more about, but this whole show is definitely going to be about modeling in all different forms, whether it be race cars, off road, tanks. I'll be completely honest with you. I don't know many tank builders or many aircraft builders, but as this thing grows, I'm sure we'll be able to meet some, and we'd love to have those guys on. We'll have guys in that want to talk about the hobby as far as the history of the hobby. I've got one in the can that I think I can convince to come over that's been doing this a long time, knows a lot about the hobby, and can share some history with us, and different kits and different stuff that was available and who did what and how they did it. Um, Jason, you got anything more you'd like to say?
I just want to say thank you to all of both mine and Mikey's subscribers. Thanks to
Absolutely.
everybody that's watching right now. We've got 24 watching. I'm shocked, to be honest with you. I even told Mike earlier today we're lucky to get four. But this is very, very cool. A lot of great positive comments in there. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a positive channel to help inspire people the way that both me and Mikey were inspired by a lot of the channels that are, I would say, established for a few years. Of course, Jason Hanscom is the number one for me that molded me. But there's so many great channels out there, so many great builders. This is just truly a blessing to be in this position right now, to where me and Mikey can kind of give back or help make people connect with each other to get information for their builds.
Absolutely, guys. That's what it's all about. It's all about the community. We're just we're just here up on the camera to try to steer the ship in the direction that you guys want to go. So feel free to email me, or if you have me on Messenger, feel free to message me about some ideas, some things that you guys would like to see, maybe some techniques, or maybe whatever is in your palette that you guys would like to see. I can't promise that we'll fill everything, but we'll do our very best and try to get you some information on any topic that you guys, any model related topic. Let me make sure I say that. Any model or hobby related topic, we would do our very best to try to bring that to y'all. Let us know where we can improve. Hopefully, my voice will be better next week because I know I can improve on that as well.
And my email is in my page under the about section. So that's open.
Same.
That's a strictly a modeling email that I set up. So that one there, you're more than welcome to give me any kind of tips, anything that you'd like to see on the show. If there's certain guests that you'd like to see talking about builds, please put it in there. We don't have that kind of pull with a lot of people, but we definitely will reach out to these people and see if it's something that they'd be entertaining thought for them to even be a part of it. So it never hurts to ask. That's how I've
Sure.
gotten where I've gotten in my life is,
Absolutely.
you get a lot of no's at time, but you just got to keep pursuing to go forward and keep asking. So
Amen. And I feel like as long as we're providing a positive thing to the community, that will attract these other known, if you will, or big
hey,
shots, big
Joe.
dogs. Hey, Joe, what's up, buddy? That'll attract those guys, and everybody wants to be part of something positive. Nobody wants to be part of something that's negative. So let's
Yep,
keep it positive. Let's keep moving forward. Again, I echo what Jason said. Thank you all for coming in. We're up to 27 now. I almost
that's
hate to sign
awesome.
off. It's so cool. We were we didn't know if we would get four or for just the two that were going to be in here. We're going to be me and him, but we knew we were going to keep moving forward. So to everybody that came in, Fred, Paul, Metal Mania, uh, everybody that's come in, we appreciate you guys so much. Again, look for us again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Welcome to the AMC Live, and we will talk to you guys later. Thanks again.
Thanks again, everybody.